Hello, and welcome to Small Business Big Impact. I'm your host, Ann Gilfoy, CEO of Meridian Credit Union. Every entrepreneur starts with a spark, an idea born from frustration, curiosity, or a moment when they see the world could actually work differently. But turning that spark into a business that solves real problems, that takes persistence, creativity, and a willingness to fail forward. In today's episode of Small Business Big Impact, we're talking about what it means to build a company that is committed to making change, especially when the problem you're tackling is as big as plastic waste. My guest today is Daniel Moll, the founder and CEO of EarthSuds, a company making plastic-free, dissolvable tablets for shampoo, conditioner, body wash, and hand soap. What started as a student project at Wilfrid Laurier University has grown into a nationally recognized eco-startup, selling to thousands of customers and partnering with hotels to replace single-use toiletry bottles. Daniel, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm equally excited.
So got a few questions here. Very curious about your business. I know some people who are using the puck, so great to have a founder and an owner talk about it. So before we rewind to the early days, what does EarthSuds look like right now? From the products you make to the impact you're creating?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, we make dissolvable tablets, shampoo, conditioner, body wash, hand soap. The idea is you simply add water or between your hands, and then it works like a traditional liquid product. But because it's solid, then we can package it without the plastic. So we package them in tins and reusable cases and recyclable boxes. Today, the team's still small, still less than 10 people. We're manufacturing everything here in Ontario, so all made in Canada, and working with shipping companies across Canada and the US to get our products out North America wide. We've diverted over 100,000 plastic toiletry bottles to date, which is exciting. And
that's great.
Continuing to push along our mission there. And we mostly sell online e-commerce and hoping to get into more retail stores and hotels in the future too.
That's great. So maybe talk a bit about how it all came to be. I think it started about 6 years ago. So maybe tell the backstory of how it came to be.
Absolutely. So it was family vacation. Being the adventurer I am, I kind of wandered off onto a local beach. And I was shocked to see so much plastic there. It's plastic wrappers and bags, but also a lot of plastic shampoo bottles. And I thought that was interesting. I think at the time, we were talking about banning plastic grocery bags in stores and talking about getting rid of cutlery, but no one was talking about the 5.7 billion shampoo bottles and toiletry bottles sent to landfills annually. And so this was kind of the spark moment for me, and the vacation ended, but I still kept thinking about it. And it's like, what if we could create something different, something that you didn't have to compromise on quality to have that sustainable benefit? And so I started tinkering in my university house, and one thing led to another, ended up making tablets.
So what were you studying at university, and how did you actually figure out how to use things to make it into a solid?
Yeah, I was studying business and environmental studies, so I had zero cosmetic chemistry background.
That's fantastic.
It was very, very chaotic and messy at the beginning. So a lot of trial and error, mixing, testing, failing, starting again. We joked that my other dorm rooms smelled kind of musty. Mine smelled like coconut oil and citric acid for months on end. But it taught me persistence. Every new experiment was getting closer to something that worked. So we started by making shampoo strips, like if Listerine mouthwash strips. We did that.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
They dissolved a bit too quickly. As soon as it touched water, it would start to dissolve and make a mess. And so that didn't really work. We tried to reverse engineer shampoo bars. That didn't really work in a single use form. And so, just hundreds, probably thousands of experiments later, the tablets were born.
So how long did it take you to figure out, how long did it take you to actually get where or are you constantly innovating and constantly adjusting the product today?
It took a good year to get to a first prototype that we were happy with, to actually start to get in front of customers. But I mean, since then, we still continue tinkering. Like I'll be in the lab later today working on a new product that's coming out. So we're always working on improving the formulas.
That's great. So you are you are a learned chemist by
Exactly.
practice, right?
Yeah.
That's crazy. I love it. That's such a great story. And then I understand that your first market focus was on hotels, and maybe talk a little bit about how you went after that market and what did it teach you?
I mean, I went to school in Kitchener-Waterloo at Laurier. And so there were a good dozen hotels, independent hotels that we thought we'd bring the product to, see what they thought. Let's get some initial feedback. The quick learning was that hotels don't really care about the tablets themselves. They care about solving their waste issues, improving guest experience, like saving money ultimately. And so I quickly learned that it was less about pitching like a product, like, hey, we have the world's first shampoo tablets. It was about listening and trying to frame EarthSuds to fit their problems. So instead of, hey, check out these new tablets, it's, hey, we can save you thousands of dollars on waste disposal, or we can improve your guest satisfaction scores by 5-10%, or we can save you money or improve your offering in other ways. And so it took a lot of no's. A lot of hotels weren't open to it. It was quite a drastic switch, but once we started to get a couple of customers on board for early pilots, then I think that taught me resilience in a very real way.
And was there certain kinds of hotels that were more open to the idea?
Absolutely. It tended to be independent hotels, so not big chains. It tended to be a general manager, like you had to have a specific stakeholder that was willing to try something innovative, but also cared about making an impact in their industry, both from being the first to offer an innovative product, but also to provide a more sustainable experience to their guests. So someone that was a little bit more forward thinking. And then the ones that we've really done well with hotels we sell to now are ones that are located near nature, or they have a national park nearby, something like that, eco lodges and mountain lodges, and they really get it.
Yeah. So Whistler, have you gone to Whistler and sold Whistler on your product? That would be a great.
Unfortunately, in Whistler, there are a lot of chain hotels too, but we're working on some independents. So hopefully in the near future.
I think this is a great piece for entrepreneurs. Like, I think, how do you craft that story that fits with the customer? And so, like, how do you practice that, or how do you actually take that on and sort of make sure I think you talked about this, every conversation is about meeting their needs. So maybe talk a bit about how you've been able to do that.
Yeah, I think the number one superpower of a good entrepreneur is great listening skills. We do customer research calls every week. So I've probably done myself like over 150 of them, and just listening to like, what are you liking with the product? What are you not liking? What do you see in the future for this? What was your perception before you even bought the first time you saw it? Why did you buy? Was it for a specific trip, this or that? So I think just listening is the most important thing.
Yeah, that's great. Great advice. So when was there a specific moment, maybe when you were dealing with a certain customer or something, when you thought, wow, this could really scale?
There were a few moments like that. I mean, one moment that really stuck with me is when we had the recognition from National Geographic, like to be named the top 10 best invention for solving ocean plastic waste was a huge deal. They flew us down to their headquarters in Washington, D.C. We got to meet with the other 9 finalists and their execs, just chat about what are the big issues facing our planet right now and how we can solve them with innovative solutions. And then we were actually featured in one of their magazines as well. And so then the orders started to flood in. It wasn't just like friends of friends or our network supporting us. It was complete strangers who believed in what we were doing. And I think it was then that I realized like EarthSuds could be bigger than just a student project.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So you've grown, obviously. You said you've got 10 people. I think that's a great growth story here in Canada, right? I think this is size of your organization is like the sweet spot for our country. And of course, we love all organizations like you to scale. But what have been the biggest shifts that you've had to make? So you were in your dorm room doing your thing, and now you're running a business. So what's been the biggest shifts as a founder that you've had to do?
Yeah, I think you put it well. It's kind of shifting from like a maker and creator to like a leader, right? It requires a bit of a different skill set and mindset. At the start, I was hand pressing tablets. I was packing orders myself. Now it's more about setting the vision and mission for the company. It's raising capital. It's building the right team, creating systems that let others execute and not micromanaging and supporting them in helpful ways. So yeah, I think it's that mindset shift of like doing everything yourself to just enabling everything and enabling others to succeed.
The beauty of your story is though you know how to make it. So that's
Yeah,
a
that's true.
great, right? A great feature, right? It helps to sort of know to be on the ground level and then work your way up. So this is something that we talk about quite a bit at Meridian, but being a mission driven business, so you're a business, but you're also trying to solve a very significant problem. So it carries that weight of purpose and profit, right? So how have you balanced the urgency of your environmental mission with the realities of running a company?
Yeah, it's a tough trade off. And definitely at the start, I really felt that mission and impact were kind of at opposites with revenue. They were in tension with each other, I guess. But really if you start to build a business, they reinforce each other. The more tablets we sell, the more plastic bottles we eliminate, the greater we further our mission, the less carbon emissions we reduce. And so instead of seeing profit as a compromise, just seeing it as fuel that lets us scale our mission. And there are difficult trade-offs that you have to make of, especially with tablets, right? Still wanting to make them convenient and high quality with the sustainability mission. Maybe one quick example I'll give you is, ideally everybody would just buy our 500 packs, right? And they would just take the zero waste option, take the tablets with them into the shower. The reality is that like a lot of people still like their their individual packaging. And so for hotels, now we have mini 2-pack boxes, right? Where if you're gonna have something that is single use, let's at least make it something that's 100% recyclable and made from recycled materials versus a little bottle that's going to go to our landfills or into our oceans. So finding those compromises and trade-offs between quality and convenience and sustainability has been also an important learning.
The one thing that I think all organizations face is attracting talent, right? Like it's hard to find great people. The great people have lots of options. Have you found with growing your business, given what you're doing, have you found people are attracted to that?
Running a startup that is in the environmental space and a consumer good is like pretty sexy business. So people are excited to work on this kind of thing. So it's probably been easier for us maybe than a larger company that's doing SaaS in an outdated industry. So I think we've been fortunate, but there's also importance in doing your proper due diligence on the hiring process to see, are they in it for the excitement of it, or are they really in it for the long haul? Like startups are hard. So
You got to work hard, right? I think every young person I talk to, when they ask me for advice about how you get to the job like I have, or how you get to be successful like you, the one thing is you got to be willing to work hard, like period, like period. And you got to have a whatever it takes kind of attitude, right? To sort of make things happen. You can't just go at it part time, or it requires a lot of grit and energy. So I think that's great that you ask that of people when they come to work for you. So if you were to offer advice for entrepreneurs, especially those tackling environmental or social challenges, which are big, what's the one principle you'd want them to carry with them?
Yeah, I think the main thing is like solve a real problem, like, and don't be afraid to be scrappy in it. I think a lot of people jump to the solution. They're like, oh, I have this great idea for this thing that's going to solve everything. It's like, no, go properly, like really understand the problem first before you start jumping to solutions. And sometimes you'll be surprised. Your initial idea is like not at all what the customer wants. And by listening to them, then you'll really understand the problem. For those that are like want to start a company but don't know where to start, I always tell them it's 3 main things. Number 1 is find your root cause. So for me, it was plastic waste and plastic bottles. Number 2, go work for a company that's in that space, an NGO, a startup that's already trying to solve that problem. And you might find other areas of the problem that they're not already solving that you can come up with something for. And then number 3 is take the leap. Like you have to fully jump in and go all in at some point. And so take the chance, take the risk. There's no better time than the present, so just go for it.
I listen to a lot of entrepreneurs on podcasts, and I've kids in their 20s and constantly saying that now is the time to experiment, right? In your 20s, like you did in university, and because you have all the time ahead of you. And it's great to see a person like you actually going for it. It's awesome to see that. So
yeah, in your 20s, like no mortgage, no kids, like
exactly, right? And don't
less
get a
financial
dog.
responsibility. So
Exactly, right? That's right. Yeah. So you said this earlier, and I just want to repeat it. So you've already diverted more than 100,000 toiletry bottles from landfill. Like that's huge. So beyond the numbers, what moments or feedback have made you feel most proud of the impact you're making?
yeah, I think it always comes back to individual customer stories. I remember having a long email exchange just to our support inbox from one mother who had a child on the spectrum and struggled to work with traditional liquid products. And these portion cubes were perfect. Before he'd be squirting all of the bottle out or struggled to squeeze it, or it was just like a solution that wasn't working for him, and has since been using our EarthSuds tablets, loves the portion cubes, loves that they're colorful and fun. It's like hated taking baths and showers before and now looks forward to it. And I think EarthSuds are a part of that. And so it's those little customer stories that stick with you and keep you motivated.
Oh, and that's a whole new market for you, right? Like, right, that expands your purpose into something broader. That's amazing. I love that story. That's fabulous. The one thing that I think oftentimes people talk about, and I love your perspective on this, is sometimes it's uncertain. To your point, you got to go for it, but sometimes it's uncertain what's happening. Where is your next customer coming from? Will this thing last? Is there going to be somebody who's going to come in with something like, right? All those things. So what's your way of refinding momentum?
Yeah, I think this is a very important question because startup journey is a roller coaster. You'll have like really high highs and really low lows. And it's important to try to treat yourself not as a founder, but more as a CEO that keeps this kind of like even keel through it all. But anyways, to answer your question, I think it's going back to sort of what I just mentioned of like remembering those customer stories, going and reading customer emails or positive customer feedback, going and actually like seeing people use it at events or trade or in retail stores, or going and seeing your product in action, looking back at old pictures, like of like seeing yourself in your university house, like making these by hand at your kitchen table, like not having a clue of what you're doing. And then it's kind of helps you remember like how far you've come. And I think that is a great way to refine momentum. It's like, okay, I've already figured all that out. That was a lot harder back then. So the current challenges we can also overcome.
That's great. And do you have any mentors? Like, do you reach out to people? Do you have mentors who are helping you learn your way through?
Yeah, mentors are also great for this. You're right. I have a mentor that I used to work with in my corporate job before who helps me on like all the very tactical business things. He's very fine point with the financials, for example. And then we have some investors on board that'll also serve as mentors when needed. There are also entrepreneurs that are ahead of me, like they are in the seven figures in revenue that have been in my place like a few years ago in the consumer goods space that help. And so I'm in some great like WhatsApp groups, for example, for founders helping founders and CPG entrepreneurs. So those forums are also great.
That's good. That's great. So we talked a lot about looking back and where things are at, but let's talk a little bit about looking ahead. So what's next for EarthSuds?
The big vision is to replace all plastic toiletry bottles. We basically want to make all plastic toiletry bottles obsolete and to be able to take any product in your bathroom and make it into a tablet form. So right now we have shampoo, conditioner, body wash, hand soap. We're launching very shortly this month body butter, which will be our first non-labor activated product, which will be very cool. But there are tons of other bathroom products. There's toothpaste you can do in tablet form. We'd love to do like a face moisturizer, shaving cream. So I think some exciting like product expansion opportunities. And then I think also geographic expansion, like just in Canada and the US right now, but we've had customers pay very high shipping costs, honestly, to buy our product in Australia and Europe and Asia. And so to be able to set up operations in those countries too, I think would be a big growth vertical for us as well.
So big dreams. I love it. And
big dreams.
both
Always
product expansion and geographic expansion. That's cool. So is there anything that you wanted to share that I didn't get a chance to ask you?
I think the biggest thing is just like, if I can figure out cosmetic chemistry and just working at it for 6 years, and also surrounding myself with PhD cosmetic chemists that can help me through it, like, then any entrepreneur out there or any budding entrepreneur that's looking at something, like, just take the leap. You can figure it out too. You can find us online at earthsuds.com, and we're also available on Amazon, and you can find us in select retail stores, hopefully more coming to you soon. If you'd like to follow us on our socials, it's at EarthSudsCo on Instagram, at EarthSuds on TikTok, and Facebook as well.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you very much, Daniel, for sharing your story today. And I look forward to watching you grow. I think it's a great concept, and I'll have to get the products. I'm going to go online and get them after we're done.
Thanks to Meridian for doing this.
From experimenting in a university dorm room to building a company that's already diverted over 100,000 plastic bottles from landfills, Daniel's story is a reminder that persistence and vision can drive meaningful change. To learn more or try these products yourself, visit earthsuds.com and follow them on social media using the links in the episode description. If you enjoyed this conversation, don't forget to follow Small Business Big Impact on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.